7 days from now, you'll be able to have real conversations with native speakers in the language that you're learning. Not perfect, but you'll be able to speak. And you'll do this by using the step-by-step plan and the materials I will give you in this video. So watch it until the end and take notes, because this video is going to change your speaking skills forever. I know this works because I've done it in over a dozen languages and I've used it with thousands of students. And as long as you do it consistently, it always works. You see, most people who try to learn a language never really develop real speaking skills. And this is because they don't use the right method. Most people are using either the traditional method of going to classes and studying grammar, which is extremely ineffective, or these days also using apps that are gamified like Duolingo, that are completely useless, and even after hundreds or thousands of days using it every single day, you will still not speak the language. And these days, some people are also trying to learn languages by watching thousands of hours of videos in the language and hoping that somehow this way you're going to learn to speak. And it never works, because watching videos and speaking are not the same skill. So the most popular methods don't really work, and that's why most people never really learn to speak. But if you learn the right way, you can develop speaking skills relatively fast, because language learning is very simple. You just need to do 3 basic things. You need to learn a lot of useful sentences, you need to listen to the language a lot, and you need to speak the language a lot. That's really all you need. You need to learn around 1,000 useful sentences, and you need to do a lot of listening and speaking practice. 1,000 sentences. That's really the secret to effective language learning. Learning useful sentences that you actually want to use. I call this the language islands method. Lists of sentences grouped by topic or situation that you learn through sheer repetition. Listening, reading, and repeating out loud. You have to actually say them out loud, otherwise you won't learn to speak. And if you learn enough of these sentences, you'll be able to have conversations. It's as simple as that, as long as you focus on learning what you need to use instead of random stuff. And with these 1,000 sentences, you won't be able to talk about absolutely everything, but you'll cover the basics. Not only understand the language, but you'll be able to actually say things, because that's very important. A lot of people learn the vocab, learn the grammar, watch thousands of hours of videos. They probably understand the language relatively well, but they're not able to speak, because speaking and understanding are different skills. And if you don't practice speaking, you will not learn to speak. And what I'm giving you is a list of basic high-frequency sentences that will be useful in many situations. You learn them by listening to them, repeating them aloud over and over again, and using spaced repetition and active recall. And with enough repetition, you'll be able to use them in conversations. And it won't make you completely fluent in the language, but it'll make you conversational in most situations. And how does it work? Very simple. You open the HyperLingua app, you go to Language Islands, and inside the Learn the Basics section, you focus on the 300 questions and answers and the language patterns. Ignore the dialogues and the narrations and all of that for now. Let's focus on the 300 questions and answers and the language patterns. Between these 2 sentence lists, you have over 1,000 sentences that cover most common scenarios, as well as all the vocabulary and grammar that you need to understand the basics of the language. You need to learn these lists really, really well. You learn these lists and you'll be able to have basic conversations. And the way you learn this is very, very simple. You need to get a lot of reps done with the whole list of sentences. So every day you review the whole list of sentences. It's 6 blocks, over 1,000 sentences in total. The first thing you need to do is to listen to the sentences while reading them at the same time, and with the translation also visible, so that you actually understand what you are reading and listening to. You do this over and over again until you are familiarized with the sentences. Then you should also listen to them in the background while you do other things. You simply play it in the background while you are working out or doing things at home, driving, things like that. So that's an extra hour or 2 of listening per day that you get in. The same sentences over and over again. Once you've listened to the whole list several times and you know more or less what it sounds like, you start repeating the sentences aloud. Easy. You keep listening to it, sometimes in the background, sometimes while reading, and you repeat the sentences aloud while you're listening to it. It won't be easy at first, but you keep doing it. And the more you do it, the easier it will get. This is by far the easiest way to start practicing your speaking skills. The more listening and repeating or shadowing you do, the faster you'll get good at speaking. Because speaking is a physical skill. You need to train your mouth to speak the new language. You need to develop muscle memory. And that requires a lot of drill, a lot of practice, lots of repetition. So every day for 7 days, you're going to listen and repeat these sentences over and over again, several hours a day. And finally, the last exercise you need to do is active recall. So you go to active recall mode and you translate from your language into the target language. You read the sentences in your language and you try to say them from memory. And then you check if you say them correctly or not. Because speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth needs to develop muscle memory and get good at speaking the language, but your brain also needs to get good at forming sentences in the language. It needs to get good at remembering the language when you need it, right? You need to learn to think in the language, and for that, you need practice. No amount of passive exposure will get you good at thinking in the language fast and speaking the language. So you need to do all 3 things. Lots of exposure to the language, lots of reading and listening until you understand everything, but also a lot of listening and repeating or shadowing for developing muscle memory for fluency and also learning the right pronunciation. And you need active recall to learn to think in the language so that when you are face to face with native speakers, it doesn't take forever for you to form a sentence. It just comes out automatically. And that's basically it. That's all you need to do. Do this daily, several hours a day for 7 days. And use just these 6 blocks of sentences. Nothing else. Ignore everything else. As many reps as possible for 7 days, just with these sentences. And by the end of the week, you will be able to not only understand all those words and sentences, you will also be able to use them in real conversations. You won't be fully fluent, but you'll be much more fluent than a week before. And after that, you just have to continue improving. Learning to speak a language is really as simple as this. This is the 7-day challenge. If you want to join, the links are in the description. Take it seriously, do it consistently for 7 days, and let me know how it goes.